All right, welcome back, everybody, and we're not leaving until 8 o'clock at least, as we're here on the Now Morning Show right up until 8 o'clock to give you everything in education, entertainment, inspiration, and just anything to start your day off on a positive note. And we continue the show here, and we are just about to jump into the last interview, Ruckus.
And for our final interview this morning, we'll be speaking about the message in the music as it relates to social commentary. You know, we have a rich history of social commentary, and oftentimes use it for picong, oftentimes use it for education, also for just reporting on the status quo of the day and the information of the day. Bringing their expertise on this topic, I want to welcome Megan Sylvester, music sociologist and TUCO Education and Research Officer, as well as songwriter and performer Jermaine Juby Cox. Welcome to you both. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi. Good morning.
Good morning, Carrie. Good morning, Ruckus.
Good morning.
Good morning. Megan, let's start with you. I want to discuss the role of the Calypso art form in Trinidad and Tobago.
So one of the important things we need to understand is that by Calypso, our stories are told. And so one of the important things for us as an organization is to make sure that even when we have all of our competitions, we make sure that we really have Calypsonians that really speak to the issues that are taking place in society. That is the role of Calypso from ever since the start of Calypso art form, coming from the slave tradition on the plantations and coming through the history. Calypso has always been telling the stories, in particular, telling the stories that are taking place in Trinidad and Tobago, coming to its fullest fruition as an art form in Trinidad and Tobago.
And you know, it's interesting, given the current climate and the current situation, let's say with things like the general elections and the pandemic, I assume that we would be getting a lot of Calypsos coming out soon that would deal with these and resonate with these messages. But do you guys know of any that you could call off the top of your head that already deal with things of this nature? Because I know that these things are cyclical, so we always come back around and, you know, these stories are not new.
Right, of course. And if we even start with looking at the Mighty Sparrow and looking at that Calypso that he did when he spoke about the slave. And that was one of the seminal Calypsos that really started the discourse, started the discussion about what are we really talking about. And then we even look at the Calypso that dealt with Jahaji Bai and speaking about, Brother Marvin, speaking about this merging, this douglarization taking place in the society. We have other Calypsos that speak about Split Me in Two, where we have artists talking about what's really happening. I am half of one, six, a dozen of the other. Yeah. What's really happening? And we see that it's important for us to understand our history. Calypso has always been telling the story about this type of merging, this type of miscegenation, this type of coalescing of the races. And it's such a pity that we see what is happening that's being played out in this national context. But it's important to note that the Calypso art form has always addressed this social issue of race, and in other cases, actually class, because if we look at what happened with the Black Lives Matter movement after the killing of George Floyd, we see that there were those issues that were also rearing its head in our national space. And we also saw that there was that tumult and that discussion on social media, about issues related to race. And so, as you said, we really expect that for this carnival season, at least there are going to be Calypsos that are going to be dealing with these types of issues, yeah?
All right. Well, Juby, I want to bring you into the conversation. We spoke about songs like Slave and Dougla, and those songs are, fairly old songs, but how does music continue to integrate into the society now? And how does it also reflect and balance those messages in the society today?
Well, to be honest, Calypso is the foundation with regards to music here in Trinidad and Tobago. There are a lot of other genres within the whole tradition of Calypso, such as the chutney, the soca, nowadays the local Trinidad or zest, as they may call it, where artists will continue to speak about the issues and what is happening now and to date. Plenty of the listeners would enjoy partying to these music and so on. But in a time like this, especially where we are now forced to stay indoors when necessary, you can now listen to the lyrics and really hear or see the reflection of what we live in. And it's almost like we are just continuing to do what our Calypsonians would have done in the past, which is really just telling the stories and reflecting or shining or reflecting a mirror on society today.
I want to find out from you, Juby, these a lot of music that comes out of Trinidad and Tobago now, a lot of the more popular music, I would say, is oftentimes not the deepest, not the most lyrically resonating. Do you foresee a change in that based on the fact that we're going to be inside a lot more, like you said, having to listen to lyrics? Does it challenge artists to now have to produce songs with deeper lyrics, with more research in their music and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I like the way they use research. I think now is the ideal time to really sit down and dig deeper into society and humanity. So we as artists need to do that research before we speak. 'Cause the term normally you would say, like the older people would say, don't speak unless you have sufficient information, you know what I mean? So we as artists need to like dig deeper, get the knowledge, and then disseminate that message parallel to what is happening today.
Right.
I think a number of the artists have been doing that. It's just in the carnival context. You may do a song for the festival per se, but generally, I think artists have been doing it, and now more than ever would continue to dig deeper into the lyrics and dig deeper into what is happening in society.
Right. Megan, with regards to what's been happening in terms of this lockdown, this COVID-19, I know the entertainment industry has taken what I would say is the hardest hit so far, because the entertainment industry has not been able to open back. And now that we're on a further restriction lockdown again, then I don't foresee us coming out with entertaining things happening, at least not in real life. How has Tuco been able to deal with this, and the members of Tuco, especially with this transitioning time?
Okay, and thanks for that. One of the important things that we did actually during the first part of the lockdown was we had a telecast that really allowed for performers. We partnered, that was Tuco would have partnered with WAC Radio to have this telecom. And what we actually did is that we had Calypsonians come and perform, and we raised money for Calypsonians who were very needy. This was specifically coming out of Tuco's South Central Zone, and it was very important for us to start the conversation and start this dialogue, even through music, about the importance of raising funds for Calypsonians who were needy. What you would have had, the format basically was the performances, and then you had Calypsonians speaking to the issue, how you deal with the lockdown, the importance of the art form to them, and why it is so important using that slogan, taking utmost care of our own. And so that was very, very important for us to engage the Calypsonians in that way. We would have had the chairman of the South Central Zone, Ras Commander, speaking about those issues, and we would have had Kenny Phillips, of course, of WAC, dealing with those issues as well, and then Brother Resistance there adding to the conversation in that very rich way. So that was one of the things that we did initially. Following that, after the society opened back up, we have been meeting because, of course, you would know that we recently had our Tuco elections, and the new executive has been meeting to start to spearhead and sort of come up with brainstorming ideas to treat with this new dispensation of the Calypso art form under this pandemic, within this lockdown. So look forward to seeing new things and new approaches to performance of Calypso.
Well, yes, because I know that, I mean, I've heard you spoke about raising funds just now, and I was wondering, if there's any way that we can find a way to maybe stimulate the economy, the creative economy, so that we don't have to be begging people for money, but stimulate the economy to be able to earn income, whether it be through, neighboring rights, performing rights, or other forms of, I don't know, we have to find ways to stimulate the economy. You know what I mean? So I'm going to wish you guys all the best with the meetings, and I hope that we can find ways to stimulate the economy going forward, especially for creatives who need it at this time.
Indeed.
Yeah,
So I want to
definitely.
thank you both for joining us this morning. That was Megan Sylvester, music sociologist and a Tuco education and research officer, as well as songwriter and performer Jermaine Juby Cox. Joining us there, giving us some insight into, Calypso and its role